Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Well, Arsenal had a very, very good summer, but that comes with selection problems as well. For Mikel Arteta, there are problems you want to have. You want to have a very big squad. He's got about 10 defenders. He's got about 10 midfielders. Maybe the attack is not to the level that we want it to be at. But I also think that we are okay, genuinely. So in this video, I want us to genuinely discuss what is Arsenal's best 11 when everybody is fit. It's a video that I've always wanted to do since the beginning of the campaign. It's a video that I thought this was going to be a very difficult one. The moment Arsenal bought Eze, I thought, yeah, if everyone is fit, Mikel Arteta is going to have a hell of a big problem. But if you look at the summer, it was very, very intentional. Of course, the arrival of Andre Bata in January. I told you so, guys. I told you there's no way Arsenal are finishing second 3 times in a row, and they're bringing in Andre Bata, and they're splashing 300 million in one summer, and that is not intentional. The intention, though, is, for me, I think the Cronkies are looking to push this project over the line, and Mikel Arteta's got a big job to do right now. Can you go over the line? I've given you 300 million on top of close to $1 billion. I think Arsenal have spent like 1.1 billion or 1.2 billion gross without net without the net spend being considered. And if you've spent 1.1 or let's say 1 billion, and you've spent 300 million on top of a squad that has Saliba, Saka, Odegaard, Declan Rice, David Raya, Gabriel Magalhaes, that means that the owners are actually looking to see if they can win, if you can win as a manager. And I think Mikel Arteta can. We've always said that if you give him the players he's asking for, you give him a striker, you give him a number 10 like Eze, you give him a number 6 like Martin Zubimendi that's really reliable, you improve that back line with the likes of Piero Hincapié and the likes of Christian Mosquera, it becomes much easier for the manager to win rather than to fail to win. So, what is Mikel Arteta's best 11 in this season when everybody is safe? It's a video that will annoy many people, but it's a video where we will have to agree on a couple of things. Honestly, I think there are players like Ethan Nwaneri that are really good that won't appear in this lineup, and everybody will understand. And then there are players like maybe Gabriel Martinelli. There's a very big question on that one, so let me know in the comment box below. Gabriel Martinelli, does he still make it to the best 11 on the right-hand side of the attack? Sorry, on the left-hand side of the attack? Or is it a new player for you there? We'll have to talk about that midfield as well. Declan Rice, Martin Zubimendi, Odegaard, and Eze. One of them has got to drop. Of course, you've got the likes of Mika Marino as well. But one of those has got to drop in that team. What about Gyökeres and Havertz? That is where the debate's going to be, right? That's where the debate is going to be. Gyökeres or Kai Havertz. I haven't been impressed by Gyökeres so far in terms of the general play. In terms of the goals, I think he's done well. But in terms of the general play, I kind of feel like he's so manageable. Defenders are managing him quite easily. And that's a problem for you if you're a striker in the Premier League. You want to have an upper hand. You want to have an X-factor over defenders. And I don't think he's actually showing me that. But it's too early for us to say wherever. So let's get into what is Arsenal's best 11 this campaign if everybody was fit. In goal, obviously, I don't think there's a debate here. It is David Raya. And I think Mikel Arteta predicted this rightly. If you want to win the league, if you want to win the Champions League, you're going to have a very reliable goalkeeper. I'll give you a very good example. Manchester City, over the years, have had a very reliable goalkeeper in Ederson. And reliability when it comes to players like Ederson literally doesn't just mean keeping the ball out of the net. It also means he's reliable in terms of sweeping. He's reliable in terms of allowing the team to play a high line. He's reliable in terms of the team playing out from the back. He's reliable in all those ways. And that's David Raya. And these days, we've seen more of David Raya pumping the ball forward rather than, passing out from the back. Is that deliberate from Mikel Arteta? Yes. I don't think that David Raya is not following instructions from the manager. And this is at a time when he's got Martin Zubimendi, who is damn comfortable at receiving the ball with his back facing the opponent's goal. You've got players like Mika Marino that are very comfortable on the turn. You've got players like Declan Rice that are very comfortable in deep areas of the pitch, and they will progress the ball regardless of where they receive it. But he's still pumping and punching the ball forward into the likes of Mikel Merino, into the likes of Kai Havertz, into the likes of Victor Gyökeres. It is deliberate, and it is the manager's commands. But what I want to say about David Raya is, if you are going to win the league, you're going to need this guy. Think about PSG last season and how Gianluca Donnarumma played a huge role in them just winning the Champions League. Martin Odegaard's shots, the Gabriel Martinelli saves. A good goalkeeper is, at some point in time, going to win you some games. And that is true. He's going to win you some games at some point in time, regardless of how good your team is. And I think David Raya is that good to win you games when some of the parts of the machine are not actually rolling in the right way. So let's say it's 0-0 against Liverpool, and Liverpool win a penalty, and it's Raya against Salah. Is it a player I can trust to stop the penalty? Yes, he is the player I can trust. On his day, he can keep that penalty out of his net. And of course, there are games where he's going to have a bad game. But for me, that doesn't change my opinion about him. He's a good goalkeeper, and I've always said he's a better goalkeeper than Ramsdale right from the start. And then we've got to talk about the back line, because Mikel has got very many options, right? Now, at right back, he can play Saliba. Sorry. He can play Timber. He can play Ben White. And I think the departure of Tomiyasu now means that Christian Mosquera becomes a very live option if we don't have Saliba and we don't have if we don't have Timber and we don't have Ben White. But when everyone is fit, for me, I still choose Jalen Timber. And this is a little bit, I think this is a little bit harsh on Ben White, right? Because first and foremost, he's falling out of memory due to the injury that he has suffered. He's not playing a lot this season. Not yet. Last season, didn't play that much. He had a bad injury, a long-term injury. The reason as to why I go with Jalen Timber, again, for me, it's reliability and it is sustainability. He's a durable, reliable player that Mikel Arteta trusts, that every Arsenal player trusts, and every Arsenal fan trusts. And for his age, I think he's around 24, 25 now. He's so confident in his game. He's so confident in himself. You can't drop him. You literally can't drop him. Like, I think he's turning into that Gabriel Magalhaes kind of character. And very soon, I won't be surprised. Maybe Gabriel Magalhaes leaves. Maybe Odegaard leaves. Maybe something happens. And Jalen Timber, more often than not, in the future, becomes that guy that is always, tying that Arsenal captaincy. And I won't have a problem with it. He's so reliable. Defensively, there are very few players that I have seen do work on Jalen Timber. Like, I was watching the Manchester City game versus Manchester United the other weekend, and I looked at Jeremy Doku and I looked at Erling Haaland, and they were easing past Luke Shaw, and they were easing past this Manchester United defense. And I'm like, I thank God Arsenal has got players like Jalen Timber, because I can't stand bad defending, and I know Mikel Arteta can't stand bad defending. But if you're gonna win the league, and Jalen Timber is fit, I think it's a cheat code. For me, he's a cheat code as a player, regardless of what anyone thinks about him. Left back has a question. And by the way, at left back, Mikel Arteta intentionally added Piero Hincapié in that team. And we've not talked about Piero Hincapié, and we've not talked about what he can do as a player. But I want to remind you that Piero Hincapié is a player that Arsenal were interested in 2022, if you remember. Right after the World Cup in Qatar, He's one of the players that had, I think, caught everybody's eye. And we went to Bayer Leverkusen and we wanted to buy him. And at the time, it was £50 million or more. And it was non-negotiable. Obviously, Leverkusen were trying to build something at the time. And then we eventually get him for in 2025 for 25 million, for 50 million euros, which is actually a very, very good price, right? Of course, what I want to say here is with Piero Hincapié and Riccardo Calafiori and Lewis Kelly, Mikel Arteta has got options, and options that are different, options that can give him something different. So if you look at Riccardo Calafiori and what he's done this season so far, he's this kind of overlapping guy, because we're playing Eze as an underlapping wide attacker. He cuts inside, leaving the width of the pitch as wide as possible for Riccardo Calafiori to bomb up and down the pitch, and it is working, right? But then you've got a player like Lewis Kelly. Lewis Kelly is an underlapping left back. What that means is he will drive the ball, he will receive the ball from his backline and drive. We know he can drive. But instead of going wide, he actually comes inside. And that means that Lewis Kelly and Eze might not actually be the perfect fit to play together. And that is understandable. And then you've got a player like Piero Hincapié. Hincapié is the way Arsenal wanted to buy Maguire. So he's not your Lewis Kelly. He's not going to drive and do all this crazy stuff. And it's not your Riccardo Calafiori. He's not going to overlap and bring crosses and do this and that. But it's that kind of player, centre-back, that you can play on the left-hand side of the defense, let's say left back, and he's going to do a job there. Bit like, you would play Gabriel Magalhaes there. And he can actually do that. So I think Mikel has got options. But for me, the best option at left back this season, I might disappoint a couple of people. I'm still going to go with Riccardo Calafiori. And the reason that's why I'm going to go with Calafiori, and I know he's injury prone, and maybe at some point in time picks up that injury, and Lewis Kelly comes into the team and reclaims his position. Don't have a problem with that, by the way. But the reason that's why I've gone with Riccardo Calafiori is Eberechi Eze. I would really want to have a team that has Eze as part of it. I would still have it. I want to have a team that has that quality of a player like Eberechi Eze. And if you have Eze on one side, Saka and Odegaard on the other, you're not cooking, you're actually serving delicious deals. So I'm going to go with Riccardo Calafiori because he allows us to play Eze, he allows us to play Mikel Merino in those pockets. It allows us to play a player like Max Downman in those pockets. It would allow us to play Declan Rice in those pockets. And if you've noticed, Arsenal's left-hand side of the attack has significantly improved. Of course, that is also because Saka is injured, and the quality on the right-hand side has, drowned and drained a little bit. But also because you've got better players and you've got better options on the left. Trossard, Martinelli, Eze, Calafiori, Lewis Kelly. You've got much better options on the left-hand side. And both of the goals that we scored on Tuesday against Atletico Bilbao come from the left-hand side. And yeah, let's talk about the Nottingham Forest game over the weekend. Do we get goals from the left-hand side? Yes. Eze is through on goal, lays it back, across goal. It's Gyökeres there. And that's a goal. And that is from the left-hand side as well. And, of course, Trossard as well. The third goal, that is on the left-hand side. So I think Arsenal's left-hand side is improving. And Calafiori has got a hand to play in it. So at centre-back, for me, it's easy. We've got a couple of options. But for me, Gabriel Magalhaes is sensational. I have seen him have that captaincy. I don't think it's a mistake. I think he's worked for it. And alongside him is William Saliba. We will talk about Christian Mosquera. He's a very, very good player. But regardless of how good Christian Mosquera is, William Saliba is levels. Guys, do not bring your excitement to this debate. Do not compare a player that has played 4 good games to a guy that has played 3 fucking quality seasons. Do not. I've seen this debate online, and I'm like, wait a minute, are we this fickle? Are we this fickle as fans? Are we this fickle as are we this unreliable as a fan base? Saliba, for me, he's destined to become one of the best in the game. Maybe the contract, like the arrival of Piero Hincapié and the arrival of Christmas Musquera, does that affect the way Arsenal look at his contract and they're like, maybe we don't even need to rush? But Arsenal have to understand that Saliba is one of the best in the world, not just in this team. So let's move over to the midfield. Let's first do the light work. The easy work is Martin Zubimendi, right? So with Martin Zubimendi, regardless of what happens, he's the best you've got in the sixth position. Obviously, if you're Mikel Arteta, what Zubimendi and Rice do is they give you rotation options together with Christian Nørgaard and Mikel Merino. Let's say I was playing Burnley. I can play Mikel Merino at the best of that midfield alongside Eze and alongside Odegaard. And I just want to attack and attack and attack and attack and attack. Because I know defensively, I've got enough to contain Burnley, right? But on a daily, in games where you're going to be challenged, Brighton, Bournemouth, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, I think it's a no-brainer. You've got this guy. He is sensational. Zubimendi is sensational. And one of the things we've already seen with this Arsenal team, this campaign, is the ability of Martin Zubimendi to punch the ball through into deeper areas to the extent that now Arsenal are not too backward and we are not too lateral. We will possess, but we will possess with meaning. You have Zubimendi who's looking to pass the ball forward. Eze who's looking to pass the ball forward. Madueke who's looking to drive forward. Saka who's looking to drive forward. And the likes of Rice, who also are looking to make those runs into the opposition penalty area going forward as well. But the question now is this. Alongside Zubimendi, do you play Rice and Odegaard? Or do you play Eze and Odegaard, or do you play Eze and Declan Rice? So this is, for me, this is my, this would be my ideal midfield, right? And we're not going to take it because it's got its weaknesses, but this would be my ideal midfield. Zubimendi, Eze, and Odegaard. That would be my ideal midfield. But for Mikel Arteta, he's a much better technician, and he understands the game of football than I do at like 100,000, nautical miles. I'll definitely not compare myself to him. So I know that Declan Rice is always going to be part of this team. If you've noticed, he's playing Declan Rice interchangeably with Mikel Merino alongside Martin Zubimendi. And I'm going to explain why. It's very easy to see, but if you've not seen it, if you don't understood why, then I'm going to explain it to you. So the reason as to why he plays Mikel Merino alongside Martin Zubimendi is this. Zubimendi and Merino have had a partnership that has worked before. So he knows that Merino understands the weaknesses of Zubimendi, and so does Zubimendi. And in turn, you want to play them together so that Zubimendi gets used to the system and the league, right? It's brilliant. And I won't be surprised that Mikel Arteta brought in Mikel Merino last summer to prepare for Martin Zubimendi this campaign. I won't be surprised. But that role where Mikel Merino actually rotates from, that is the position of Declan Rice. He didn't buy Declan Rice for 100 million by mistake. He's the world's best ball winner. For me, he's the best dribbler as a midfielder in this Arsenal team. He's got a bigger engine than anyone. He's a leader. He's mature. He does everything on and off the ball. That is not a character. That is not the profile you can afford to put on the bench. So what happens for me is Declan Rice plays alongside Martin Zubimendi, and that is real complementarity. Real complementarity because, one, Zubimendi is not as energetic as Rice. So that is complementarity. But also, Declan Rice is not a fast passer as Zubimendi, and he's not one player that breaks through the lines with his passes rather than with his carries. So Rice, energy and carries. Declan Rice, Zubimendi, smart and a higher level of IQ when it comes to passes, which is penetrative passes as well. And I think that actually works for us. Now, for me, in such a team, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I don't see the role of Martin Odegaard. Obviously, we have to play Odegaard here because he's captain and he's a good player, and why would you drop him, right? But if I was to select Arsenal's best 11 in midfield, if I have Rice and Zubimendi, they defend, they transition, they break through the lines, they carry, then I can afford to have a typical number 10 in this position. And that's where I would crazily do this. I think if you have Declan Rice and you have Martin Zubimendi, I think you can afford the luxury, right? I think you can afford the luxury of playing a player like Ethan Nwaneri, honestly, right? I think you can play Ethan Nwaneri if you have that luxury. So Nwaneri alongside Martin Zubimendi and alongside Declan Rice. The reason for that, for me, is quite very, very simple, right? Quite very simple. The reason for that is Ethan Nwaneri is a progressive player, attack-minded. He's going to attack space, right? And defensively, you've got nothing to worry about because you've got these two. So you need someone in that midfield that is just going to attack and attack and attack and attack. That would be Ethan Nwaneri, in my opinion. And then on the forward line, it is Saka for me. I know Madueke has done well, but Saka remains untouched. And for me, his position is unscathed. And then Victor Gyökeres or Kai Havertz. Well, that one's difficult, honestly. I think Havertz has got his advantages. I think Gyökeres has got his weaknesses that he's got to fix, but I would still go with Gyökeres. He's a proper number 9. And then on the left-hand side, Martinelli, Trossard, or Eze. For now, I am still going to go with Eberechi Eze. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you right in the next one.